What is going on, everybody? What is going on? The Catch fam, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Week 1 of the 2025 fantasy football season is here. Whether you like it or not, whether you are ready or not, this is what we've been waiting for. We're just a few days away from NFL kickoff for the 2025 season. So you know exactly what we're going to do tonight. We're going to hop into some live fantasy Q&A. Anything that you guys need for week 1 of the season, starts, sits, adds, drops, who's out there on the waiver wire or not out there on the waiver wire, roster reviews, draft advice. Maybe you guys have not drafted yet and you're going to draft last minute, which is completely okay as well. Whatever it is, hop in the live chat. We're going to have some fun tonight. We're going to talk some fantasy football and get you guys ready to dominate week 1 of the season. And I think while I'm answering your guys' fantasy questions, I'm going to try and hop into one last underdog draft, but I don't know if the lobby, yeah, okay, good. It's still open. I was going to say, I checked earlier and the fill rate on Best Ball Mania, it's at 94.4%. So I would imagine in the next 48 hours, it's probably going to be closing. So I'm just going to throw together some fantasy teams last minute here while I answer your guys' fantasy questions. But whatever you guys need, get in the live chat. Let's get ready for week 1. And you know, by the way, if you guys have a YouTube comment waiting on one of the videos for the week, I will be answering all of those questions. I got a little bit behind, but I will be getting back to everybody who did leave a comment on any of the videos for week 1, just so you guys know. But yeah, there have been some tough questions. I mean, some of you guys are really in some conundrums here in week 1. And I can certainly understand if you guys do have questions, because some of you guys do have some tough rosters out there and some tough start-sit decisions as well. So let's get it going. What's up, Suave? Thoughts on the Colts wide receiver fantasy value? Drafted Pittman and Downs in the late rounds. Wondering if they're worth holding on to or packing in a trade. Well, I mean, you have both Pittman and Downs. I mean, I think either one is okay to trade here. It just depends. What are you going to get back? You know, it's tough, right? Because I do think that Daniel Jones, it is fine enough to support Pittman or Downs, and maybe both. But the issue is, like, I could see one or the other benefiting more, but I just don't know who. So I think they both have value. Like, I think they were both decent late round picks. But yeah, I think either. What are you going to get back though? Like, who are you going to package them with? What exactly are you looking at getting back? All that stuff. I think that they are perfectly fine to trade away. I don't really see them being more than like kind of low end flex options this year. Don't get me wrong, we might be surprised. You know, I mean, they play the Dolphins week 1. That defense does not scare me whatsoever. So I could see either of them coming out having nice PPR starts in week 1. But I just don't know if they're going to be more than that throughout the course of the season. So, you know, and once again, I don't exactly know which one I like more than the other, because I think it's going to depend a little bit on like Daniel Jones's preference in this offense. But yeah, I kind of lean Pittman, and don't ask me why. I kind of lean Pittman being the more valuable option, but don't ask me why. I have no actual like analytical or statistical reason to support that. All right, give me Barkley. I did do a massive amount of slow drafts on Underdog over the last like 2 weeks or whatever. And I have way shifted. Actually, I don't know if my exposure shifted that much, but I got a lot more exposure of players. Yeah, chat, let us know. Who do you guys lean here, Pittman or Josh Downs? Who would you rather trade away if you own both of them? All right, let's see. It's definitely a tough question because I just don't, until we kind of see it, I think you could really argue either player, Pittman or Downs here. Tyler, are we starting Sutton, Judy, T-Mac, or Swift in the flex? I mean, I still lean Sutton. I think Sutton's going to be the player that you want on a week-to-week basis. But I really like T-Mac, and T-Mac has a great matchup. This matchup between the Jaguars and the Panthers, I think, is going to be one of the best overall matchups when it comes to fantasy here in week 1. Call me crazy. In terms of like porous defenses, this should be a very good matchup. You know, you kind of look across the board. Bucks Falcons is the other one that really stands out to me. Bengals Browns also stands out to me. So I even Ravens Bills. I think that's, you know, Sunday Night Football, first Sunday night game, all that stuff. I would say those would be the potential for the highest scoring games this week. I guess we could look at Vegas's implied totals as well. Dolphins Colts is probably, but I can also see like Dolphins Colts just being like one of these low scoring, boring games. But so I think T-Mac's perfectly fine. I do like Judy and I do like DeAndre Swift. This is where like the start sit questions get tough, right? Because you have a lot of good options here. You know, all these guys I think are perfectly fine options, right? But I just think that if it was me, week 1, I take the safest floor. I would take Sutton. It is on paper a tough matchup when it comes to the Titans. Believe it or not, this was a team that was quite good against fantasy wide receivers last year. Believe it or not, actually one of the best teams. But I just don't really feel like I'm worried about Sutton. I feel like the Broncos are going to come out week 1 at home against the Titans, have a good day. But Ladarius Sneed, who is questionable, trending towards playing in week 1, is the number 1 corner there for the Titans, and he is certainly not a bad corner. And like I said, I mean, this was a team that still, at the end of the day, performed quite well against wide receivers in fantasy last year. But I don't want to overthink it. I want to go Sutton. But I think, once again, these are all good options. And, you know, it's tough to completely go off of last year's rankings because so much changes in the offseason. Yeah, the Titans allowed the second fewest fantasy points to wide receivers. In that same breath, the Dolphins, not the Colts. The Dolphins allowed the third fewest, but like I'm not intimidated by the Dolphins offense or defense whatsoever. Probably not the offense either. So yeah, I think me personally, if it's my lineup, I am leaning Sutton. I'm also kind of worried about the Vikings-Bears game. Could be off here. It is the first Monday night game, so like, you know, maybe there's some oomph there. But I do think that this will be a little bit more of a defensive game than some are thinking. And like the Vikings were 12th against running backs last year. They did lose some linebacker help in the offseason. The Bears were bad against the run, 26. Anyone's curious. But yeah, I could see T-Mac having a really nice day. All right, Jelly of the Month has his last draft tomorrow. Let's go. 12-team, 3 wide receiver, and a flex half PPR. Better start. Jamar, running back, Josh Allen. Oh, okay. Sorry. What's your better overall draft start? I was already like, even though you said it, I was shifting back to fantasy. I was like, you got to start Jamar, right? So Jamar, then a running back, then Allen, or 2 wide receivers around 4 and 5, or Jamar RB, then best RB. Yeah, for me, it's the last one. I know it's really tempting to go Josh Allen or like a Trey McBride, or maybe Bowers if he falls, which in some drafts he did or will. But for me, if you go Jamar at 1-1, which is the right pick, I would go double running back to back there. I mean, like this might be a poor example because it's best ball, but it's not too far off looking at the board. Yeah, if you go Chase, then get like Jacobs, JT, Bucky, Chase Brown, which I don't more drafts that we did this year. Bucky and Chase Brown aren't there, so it's really JT, I mean, really maybe Jacobs. So JT, Jacobs, Hampton, Kyron. I would say those would be the 4 running backs you're pulling from. So if you go Chase, Jacobs, JT, Chase, Jacobs, Hampton, or Kyron, I like that start a lot. And I will say, when it comes to real drafts, the number one position that I saw dry up the quickest this year was the running back position, hands down. So, and I think that there was more depth at wide receiver easily than any other position this year as the rounds went on in every single draft I did this year. And I didn't just do like 2 or 3 drafts, right? I was in what? I have lost count. 17, 18 drafts? No, it's like 16, not including the dynasty drafts, dynasty leagues, I should say. So, ultimately, when it came to redraft drafts, like I felt like, although I did a lot of different strategies, switch things up. At the end of the day, when I got 2 running backs within the first 4 rounds, I was the happiest with those teams. When I got 2 running backs within the first 3 rounds, I felt good. Anything else, I felt a little, even like some hero RB teams, a little spooked here and there. So for me, and I've really stuck with it all off season long, this belief, I will go Chase, double running back, 2 wide receivers in the 4th and 5th. And I would agree, mid-tier, Bo Nix, Baker. Some drafts I saw Baker fall a lot further than you might think. Kyler's fine. Dak Prescott's fine. The other position that I saw consistently, and every league is different. You guys know your leagues better than me. Quarterbacks, like once Mahomes, Nix, Baker were gone, and sometimes that tier would even fall. Like everybody just would go late round quarterback at that point, and quarterbacks just fell in drafts this year. I mean, obviously the top 5 guys up to Burrow would go, but yeah, those would be my thoughts. I drafted both for that reason. Yeah, I think I still lean Pittman. I mean, Pittman is the problem is they both have been limited in recent memory, so it's hard to really evaluate. Which I get away trading away Aaron Jones and Mason. I mean, you're basically trading away like an entire backfield here. So, I mean, I guess they both kind of go in the same range of drafts is the problem here. So, I don't think you're going to get a ton back. That's more than the type of running back that they got drafted around. You know what I mean? So you look at consensus ADP on Sleeper, because I'm assuming this is for a redraft league, right? I mean, I guess Jones went a bit further up, but I also saw a lot of drafts where Jones fell back. But Jones is at ADP of 89.7. Mason, 121.5. Okay, I mean, but still on the board, that's not that far apart realistically. I just don't know. Are you going to try and swap for a different running back? If you can get Tony Pollard, I would do it. If you can get DeAndre Swift, I would do it. But also, I think owning you can get David Montgomery, I do. Or if you get Pacheco, I say Pacheco, Monty, Swift, Pollard, I do like the potential more than the Vikings backfield this year. But ultimately, at the same time, I don't think that having the Vikings backfield is not going to be valuable in some sense. In terms of what wide receivers could you get back? If you get a guy like Jameson Williams or George Pickens, I would do it. I don't know if that would happen. It might depend on the roster. If you get a Ricky Pearsall, I would definitely do it. That might happen, although a lot of people are much higher on Pearsall than they were even a week ago, 2 weeks ago, right? I think maybe you get a Mecca Ibuka, or you could probably get Matthew Golden. Depends. Like, what do you need? What are your needs? I wouldn't be swapping them for like a quarterback or tight end, but I would try to go for that tier wide receiver or running back. Sutton or Garrett Wilson, different league. I'm leaning Sutton. I think Garrett Wilson will be fine this week due to volume. And it's like Steelers have a very good offense, or excuse me, defense. But they still have the 15th most fantasy points wide receivers, kind of right there in the middle last year. So I think that ultimately Garrett Wilson will be fine this week due to volume alone, but I just don't see that being a high-scoring game. The Steelers have some decent cornerbacks. So I think I got to go Sutton. I am high on Sutton, though. Like, I believe in this offense for the Bucs. So I'm a Sutton truther. Like, I feel confident in him being my flex option this week, or wide receiver 2 this week. It does not bother me. So maybe ask yourself where you stand with that. But I also like Garrett. It's crazy because Garrett Wilson went earlier in drafts. But and I'll tell you guys this much: when it comes to the Jets, I am just worried about week 1. But then they get Buffalo, Tampa Bay, Miami, Dallas. I love that stretch. Week 6, Denver. I don't like Garrett Wilson in that matchup. But then he gets Carolina and Cincinnati. Like, I'm not going to go like completely out of my way to bench Garrett Wilson this week. But like in this circumstance, I think Pollard's the better start. But it's based on matchup. Barkley going to go crazy Thursday. Eagles fan here. Yeah, I do think that Barkley and Hurts are going to have very good games in week 1 on Thursday Night Football when we look at the makeup of the Cowboys roster. I'm going heavy at running back in this draft. But yeah, Cowboys defense probably worse now than Micah Parsons. I think we would all agree. Cowboys gave up the 23rd most fantasy points to running backs last year and the most fantasy points to quarterbacks. 27th most to wide receivers, in case you're wondering. All right, rate my team. Kyler, Drake May, good late round QB room. Bucky, Kamara, Pollard, Ollie Gordon, Sampson, Benson, Travion Henderson. I like how he's listed last after some of those other names. Lamb, A.J. Brown, Pearsall, Worthy, Warren. Very solid team. You can start either quarterback here. Bucky, Travion, Bucky, Pollard. Either way, Bucky, Kamara. Good running backs. Good bench. Kind of handcuff guys, too. Lamb, A.J. Brown, flexing Pearsall, flexing Worthy. Tyler Warren doesn't have to give you the highest ceiling because the rest of his team is very good. So even for a 10-teamer, I give this a good 9. 8.5. Maybe because not my favorite quarterbacks, but they're certainly not bad. Not my, at least a tight end that we need to see something out of. But very good team. Thoughts on Jacobs and Pittman for Nico and Malik? Or Nico or Malik, sorry. Do you like more Nico or Malik? I think right now I like Nico a hair more, but we are splitting hairs. Absolutely. It's like a 1A, 1B type ranking. The only thing with Malik Neighbors is the different injuries. So if it wasn't for those, I started off the offseason all in on Neighbors. I don't want to say I'm out on Neighbors by any stretch, but I lean Nico by hair. But Jacobs and Pittman, I mean, what running backs are going to have left over? Jacobs is nothing to sneeze at. Tyler, you're welcome. Shout out from Wyoming. What's up, Shay? Do you think it's possible for Keenan Allen to finish as a top 10 to 15 wide receiver in full PPR? No. I wouldn't go that far. Could he have weeks where he's a top 10, 15? Sure. That's not saying a whole lot. But I mean, come on. He was a wide receiver 34 last year. He's got Ladd in front of him. It's a run-first offense. I'm going to say negative here. But I think he can be a viable flex option in PPR. I draft tomorrow night in my 10-man. I have pick 8. Any suggestions on how to go? PPR, 1 QB, 2 RB, 3 wide receiver, 2 flex, 1 tight end. In a 10-man, just don't panic. There's going to be so much value. I'll say this. Try to target running back relatively early, unless there's just a wide receiver you can't pass on in the early rounds. But once again, the position that I saw drive the quickest this year was running back. So have some late round running backs kind of like pieced together, on your queue. Guys like Charbonnet, Jordan Mason, J.K. Dobbins, or whoever you prefer. Understand that some of those guys might end up being like an RB3 or 4 for you, depending on your strategy. And just don't panic. There's so much depth in 10-man leagues that like you can fill out those flex spots very easily. I would not be fretting whatsoever here. Even a 3 wide receiver league, like I would try to come out of the first 4 rounds, definitely with at least 2 wide receivers. And I would still just try to get those 2 stud running backs out of the way. Go for some back end running back value. I love Zach Charbonnet this year. I think he could be a league winner if something happens to Walker. Jordan Mason, J.K. Dobbins, the other guys that I've liked kind of in that range. But, even guys like Bill from, JCM from the Commanders, DeAndre Swift, Tony Pollard, like, is okay if these guys are your RB3s and 4s, But, yeah, after you get, like, at least 2 viable wide receiver 1s off the board, get 2 running backs, make sure they're at least mixed in there. Any order between the first 4 rounds. And then I would hammer out wide receiver and go for some back end flex value. And in a 10-teamer, you could look at it 2 ways. You could try to target QB tight end early and get positional advantage. But for me, I'm just going to let QB and tight end do its thing and look for value late in the draft. Because there's going to be more depth at quarterback and tight end in a 10-teamer. As we got Dak, Herbie, Bucky, RJ, Monty, Ollie Gordon, Brian Robinson, Brian Thomas, T. Higgins, J-Mo, Cedric Tillman, Rashi Rice, Kate Otten, Tyler Loop, Chiefs. Pretty good team. She Rice down the stretch. The waiver video I put out today, I totally meant to put Cedric Tillman in that video. My brain has been in 1,000 places throughout the course of making all the content for week 1. And I forgot about Ced Tillman. I was really upset about it, but he's got a great matchup against the Bengals. Could be a great spot for him. Good option. But yeah, I mean, J-Mo's your wide receiver 3. So you're starting Dak, Bucky, Monty for week 1, I would say. P. Tom, Higgins, J-Mo. I mean, Kate Otten's hurt. You might need another tight end. Kate Otten might not play week 1. That'd be my biggest concern with that team. Rest looks good. Do I offer Pollard and Dak for Bo? No, and I'm really high on Bo Nix. I'm a believer, and I've been a believer. But I would say no. Dak's gonna have a solid year as long as he's healthy, and Pollard's gonna be a player who gets a lot of volume this year. So I would say no. I would not do that trade. Also, Bijan, Bucky, Hampton. I mean, a great running back room, but I mean, this is something that happens really early in the year that I talk about every single year. Is just don't. Depth is not a bad thing. We're not even in week 1 yet. Like, what happens was week 5, and God forbid, Bucky has a banged up knee. It's questionable. And then it's week 7 and Hampton is out for 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Like, you just don't know what's going to happen. That's a little extreme situation I threw together there. But right now it feels like, I got all this running back depth. Like, I got 3 studs, 3 guys who go in the first 3 rounds. Like, I don't got to worry about anything. You just don't know. You don't know. You won't know. So hold on to depth. It's a good thing to have this time in the season. I think Pollard a great RB4, and maybe the opposite type of situation plays out where your wide receivers start to get hurt and you're in a position where you need to flex a player like Hampton and or a player like Pollard, So don't be afraid if you have depth. Need an chain injury. I mean, your team's fine at running. Monty's a perfectly fine RB2. You got Harvey floating around. I can see the Bears having imploding potential week 1. Yeah, I mean, week 1's early. If they implode, it's okay. They are at home. I think that helps them a lot. The Vikings did lose some pieces of that defense in the offseason, but that's when I look at week 1, the Steelers, Jets, Vikings, Bears. Those are the 2 games I'm a little worried could get a bit defensive. Not be the best for fantasy throughout the course of it, but there are a lot of good players in that Vikings Bears game. What's up, Ghost Hunter? Yeah, I would keep Dak and Pollard if I were you. I'm in a 14-team league, been to 3 straight bowls thanks to the Catch fam. Won the last 2 bowls. What's up, Oz? Don't let them forget. The champ's in the house. What's up, Chase? Would you drop in Conquo for Strange? I would personally. I mean, this one, I guess you could make an argument in more than one direction here. I would rather have Strange, though. And he's got a great week 1 matchup. I think he's one of the best streaming options at tight end in week 1. As the Panthers allow the 27th most fantasy points to tight ends last year. So I think he's in a far better spot week 1 than going up against that Broncos defense, which the Broncos were 11th against tight ends last year. I mean, still very good, but much better than the Panthers. So I think Strange has the better potential. Suave. I had the 1.1812 team when Jamar McBride, Allen, my first 3 picks. RB went super heavy early. Let out with Travion and Harvey in later rounds, but it was sketchy. Yeah, that's the thing. I'm telling you, these running backs in drafts, you guys are still in draft season. They dry up quick. Sub access. Start Aaron Jones or Swift. I mean, that's a tough one. Once again, this is a matchup that spooks me a little bit. We got both the primary running backs here. You got to pick one. I think I lean. I mean, I will say, the Bears were not good against the run last year. The Vikings were 12th. They definitely had a better run defense than the Bears. So you could go Aaron Jones. And Aaron Jones probably has more receiving upside. I think the floor is with Swift. The upside PPR-wise is with Aaron Jones, but the risk is there because we know Jordan Mason could vulture those touchdowns. I think I lean Swift. I would personally play Swift. I could see the argument either way, though. Wide receivers are Lamb, Terry, Ridley, Moore, Buka, Jacobs, Chupa, Etienne, Mason, Caleb Johnson. Space Ghost. Coast to coast. Solid. You didn't have a question, right? I was just double checking. I guess I'm drafting Kyle Pitts, girls. Tyler, you're welcome. Okay, thinking of offer, and here's your question. DJ Moore for Pollard. So you'd have Lamb, Terry, Ridley. I mean, it's a fair trade. If you'd rather have the running back here, that's fine. You're still going to have Lamb, Terry, Ridley, or Ibuka in the flex, then Jacobs and Chuba. Or Jacobs, Chuba, Swift. Or sorry, Jacobs, Chuba, Pollard. That's fine. I'm okay with it. Or you could try to trade Ridley and keep DJ Moore. But I think they're relatively close in value. Ridley is I think Ridley's fine. I just don't love him week 1. He worries me week 1. Because he's going to play Pat Surtain. Like, I have Ridley as a sit in the start-sit video. But if he's your only option, like, you got to take the volume, right? Oz says he started Aaron Jones. Yeah, it's close there. Would you trade James Conner for Chuba? I would rather have Chuba personally. I think Chuba got a little bit undervalued as draft season went on. The Panthers still have a good offensive line, believe it or not. He plays Jacksonville week 1. I mean, he's going to come out with a banger. I do think Rico Dowdle is kind of looming around there. I do think Dowdle could get some more volume than some people are anticipating. I'd rather have Chuba. Call me crazy. Chat, Connor or Chuba? Oz says Connor. It is close. Pick one for flex. Wilson, DJ Moore, Olave, Hunter, Jones. It's really tough here. I don't love Garrett Wilson's week 1 matchup. We have talked about the Vikings Bears quite a bit tonight, but the Vikings were really poor against wide receivers. Like, the Vikings have a good run defense, a good defense in terms of getting to the quarterback. They don't have a good secondary. So, but like, we got Dunze. I think DJ Moore's fine, a good floor. I think Garrett Wilson's fine, a good floor. It's between those two for me, still in PPR. I think you got to take the volume with one or the other. I think I like them more than Olave, Hunter, Aaron Jones week 1. So I'd say whoever you prefer between DJ Moore and Garrett Wilson. Once again, I don't love Garrett Wilson's week 1 matchup, but the volume will be there. I have Josh Allen. Do I start Coleman and Shakir or use Myers and Gordon? I mean, if Khalil Shakir plays, he's good to go. I'd probably start Shakir and then Jacoby Myers. I mean, I guess there's a world where Myers doesn't play. If he's going to, like, hold out or whatever. I would not feel comfortable starting Coleman and Shakir. But that is a good matchup in terms of anticipated points. And the Ravens were really bad against wide receivers last year. Like, I just keep kind of hearing, like, it was a bad matchup for the Bills. But the Ravens allowed the 30th most fantasy points to wide receivers last year. I mean, I know that the secondaries have been different as we move into the season, right? But I don't know. I don't know. I think that there's going to be – but the other problem is, like, the Bills don't really utilize their wide receivers in heavy fashion. You know what I mean? So you never know what you're going to get. There's really, like, no real ceiling. Ollie Gordon is still a desperation start, a very good player to own. Now, if we get the word that A-Chain's out, which I don't really feel like we're going to, then you go Ollie Gordon, but you have to be pretty desperate. Full PPR, Flex 1. What's up, Adventures from the Q? Sutton, T-Mac, Pollard, Golden, Pearsall. Whoo. I mean, this is really tough. I think Sutton is like one of the safest starts you could possibly have this week. So I have no problem just rolling with him. But you got some good options. T-Mac's got a great matchup. Pollard, I think, is a really safe floor option this week. And Matthew Golden, like, there's a lot of upside. And I like Pearsall quite a bit. Just, like, for a multitude of reasons. But he doesn't have, like, the greatest matchup necessarily. Still a tough matchup for him. And, like, the problem with Pearsall is, like, as much as I like the anticipated volume here, the Seahawks don't have a bad defense necessarily. And they don't have any other wide receivers to cover. Like, I think Jawan Jennings, the latest reporting is that he's trending towards playing. You know, so I guess there's that. But like Devin Witherspoon's not a bad corner one. He's going to be on Pearsall, and like then it's going to be like Sky Moore and like Robbie Chosen and Russell Gage. Maybe Russell Gage is hurt too, so I don't know. I really want to be just like 110% in on Pearsall, but I'm a little worried about him. Just week one. Just because like there's I know they gotta account for Kittle, they gotta account for CMC, but like there could be a situation where Pearsall's just hammered. It's also a situation where Pearsall's like 12 targets in like a great game. So I think I would lean Sutton. Sutton, Pearsall, T-Mac, Pollard, Golden. But I mean, really, any of these guys could outscore each other. Just remember that, guys, when we get to these really tough flex options where you guys have really good options across the board, I mean, there's a strong likelihood that any of these guys could outscore each other at any given moment. Really good options for you. So try not to overthink it. Trust your gut. Go back-to-back Broncos wide receivers for a potential Bo Nix stack. Flex 2, DJ Moore, Olave, Debo, Dobbins, Swift. Oh, I think I would start Dobbins. I think Dobbins is going to be a solid week one start. Maybe it depends on how you anticipate the split going with RJ Harvey. I think week one, early in the season, it'll be mainly Dobbins, and he'll be actually healthy. Like, we can count on it. And the Titans were very poor against the run, allowing the 21st most fantasy points to running backs last season. And then I think I go Swift. I think I just take the floor with the running backs. But if you wanted to go DJ Moore over one or the other, I think that's fine. Debo is really interesting, but with options like this, I don't think I would start Debo. But he could be a player who like has a big week one. He's really implemented into the game plan. The Giants allowed the 16th most fantasy points to wide receivers last year. I think he's decent. But for me, I think you go DJ Moore, and then you pick one of the two running backs, or you just go straight up with both running backs, take the floor. All right, I'm about to have a panic pick here. Yeah, Darius Slayton works, actually. Darius Slayton's honestly fine with me. Pretty decent squad. Nixon, Stroud, Barkley, Kyron, Pacheco, Monty, Bigsby, Ladd, Terry McLaurin, Emeka, Jaden Reed, Keenan Allen, Pat Bryant, Troy Franklin, Darius Slayton, Kyle Pitts, Zach Ertz. I'm trying to get Dalton Schultz with this last pick. All right, PPR, Ridley, DJ Moore, Igbuka. Guys, I really think I would just start Emeka Igbuka. It's risky. Don't get me wrong. We've never played an NFL snap. But this matchup between the Bucs and the Falcons is just presenting so much upside. And like, I think Emeka Igbuka is going to score a touchdown in week one. I don't know if like the stat lines would be crazy. I just think there's going to be something drawn up for him. This is just such a good matchup for fantasy. It's one of my favorite matchups of the week. The Bucs allowed the 28th most fantasy points to wide receivers last year. The Falcons allowed the most fantasy points to wide receivers last year. Like, I don't like Ridley week one. I think most weeks you probably are starting Ridley, but I don't like the matchup against Pat Surtain and company. And DJ Moore's fine. Like, you want to split the difference, just go DJ Moore. If it was my lineup, I would start Emeka Igbuka. Like and sub for the dub. Says Oz, what's up, Andrea? Victors from the queue got JD5, Chase Brown, Kamara, BTJ, Ladd, Kittle, Sutton, T-Mac, Golden, Pearsall, Pollard, Tracy, Dak. That is a stacked team, head to toe. Andrea, London or Sutton, and still Drake London for me. And we got a lot of Cortland Sutton questions tonight, but it's Drake London once again in this matchup against the Bucs that I love. Who would I drop for a waiver in a 14-team league? Sorry, guys. It's going to be hard sometimes the way the chat works to scroll up. Find your guys' teams. Hold on. Make this pick. I just took Jawan Johnson. Let me know who you think's droppable for you. Pete, what's up? Did I cook? Well, we'll find out. Did you cook? I'm excited to read this team. Entering another Best Ball Mania. Anyone, this would be the last one. I will have to end this stream right when this draft ends, just so you guys know. I'll be on a schedule when I stream the rest of the year. All right, what we got here? Allen, Barkley, Kamara, BTJ, Ted, Devonta, Hunter, Goodert, Rice, Godwin, Eckler, Charbs, B-Rob. Team is very solid. The only thing I worry about is tight end. You can stream tight end. We all know this. Rice and Godwin are going to be so annoying for this team, though. The potential down the stretch is phenomenal. You know that. And they probably just kept falling, and you're like, whatever, I'll take them, right? And I don't blame you. You have a good bench, but it's just we know Rice is going to miss the first 6 weeks. You can't move him in most leagues. And then Godwin is hurt, but you can't do anything about it. So that is annoying. I would just be worried about Goddard. Pay attention to guys like Brenton Strange, Hunter Henry, Zach Ertz. Those are my favorite potential streaming options. Other than that, Pete, this team looks great. Do you like Henderson or Pollard more? That might be closer than some would anticipate. I think Pollard's going to have a fantastic year. Hendo has the upside, though, for sure. Hendo, Hampton, Pacheco, Tracy start 2 for week 1. If you want to just shoot for the moon, it's Henderson and Hampton. I think Tracy is the odd man out here regardless, and I do like Tyrone Tracy. It's close. I do think Pacheco's still a good start in week 1. Kind of some tough defenses in here. The Chiefs allowed the fewest fantasy points for running backs last year. The Chargers allowed the 8th fewest. Raiders allowed the 14th fewest, believe it or not. Commanders, for Tracy, would be the best matchup, but I think for me, I go Henderson, Hampton. I take the upside, but Pacheco could have a really nice week. Cup or Shakir week 1? And quite frankly, wow, Brian Thomas Jr. just went 2nd overall in this draft. I think I just play Cooper Kupp. Yeah. Shakir coming off the injury. I just don't love Shakir this week unless I have nothing better. Shakir does have a better matchup. He is at home. I'm not crazy high on Kupp, but he could be okay on the road against the Seahawks. At home against the Niners. Don't know where my brain was going there. If you like Shakir more, I think it's fine. If the ankle injury wasn't existent, it would be Shakir hands down for me. I'll say that much. All right, Simp has a 12-team full PPR. Baker, Genty, Kyron, CD, BTJ, Higgins, Wilson, Kraft, Pollard, Mason, B-Rob, Igbuka, Jennings, Warren. Pretty solid team for a 12-teamer. BTJ, CD, and Higgins, and Genty, and Kyron. Who are you drafting with? In a 12-team format, you got all these guys? And Wilson. This is a keeper league? And Baker. Baker makes some sense, I guess. I've seen him fall. Pollard. Igbuka. Igbuka's like a 5th rounder now. This team is stacked. Who are you drafting with? Fryermuth, Jawan Dawson, Schultz, Fanton, and Higbee. Oh, I had to drop someone to replace Otten. Yeah, I would just drop Otten. But these options aren't great at all. This league is hogging the tight ends. Oh, oops. I forgot I was on the clock. It's okay. I don't want autopilot on. Oh, here we go. Off. I was like, where is the button? Oh, I missed 2 picks. Puka and Genti. I mean, that's an interesting start. We'll take it. We'll take it. I would just drop Otten. I guess I'd play Schultz. I'm not ready to throw Freiermuth in my lineup yet. So we kind of see how that potential split looks. With Jonnu. I have Cortland Sutton in my wide receiver 2. I don't know who to choose. Sub Goose. I have Tet, Ridley, Myers. I also have Chuba at my flex. Who should I choose? Also Shakir. I would just play Tet. He's got the best matchup. Myers is like not necessarily in a bad matchup. Christian Gonzalez has been a bit washy as of late with injuries. Ridley's got an awful matchup. He will see Pat Surtain, is my guess. Shakir's coming off injury. It's T-Mac pretty easily for me. Going up against the Jags. Jags allowed, I mean, they were bad. They allowed the 26th most fantasy points of wide receivers last year. So I would say pretty confidently just roll with T-Mac. Flex Pollard, Garrett Wilson, or Ibuka. I just take the upside, especially with that team that's loaded. Give me Ibuka and a great matchup against Falcons. Strange or Kraft. I do like Brenton Strange, but I would start Tucker Kraft. With all these injuries to Green Bay players, I mean, I will say Tucker Kraft's a bit touchdown dependent. But, and like Strange has the matchup. Want to swing for the fences? Sure. But like, I think I would just trust Tucker Kraft. Have PPR, choose one of these running backs to start in week 1. Bill. I like, yeah, only refer to JCM as Bill, guys. Ollie Gordon, Scattaboo, Davis, Pierce. If A-Chain doesn't play, you pivot to Gordon. If not, it's Bill. Marcus, what's up, man? 12-man full PPR, pick 10. We got Penix and Caleb, A-Chain, Bucky, Kyron, Jason, Garrett, Debo, Pickens, Hunter, Kincaid. Not bad for what looks like a competitive 10-teamer. Would you go those first 2 picks? Bucky and A-Chain? Then you still got Kyron? And then JSN. Did Garrett Wilson fall? Yeah, not bad. You got some good early round value. Solid team. Does Chuba catch passes? Well, I mean, there's not really anyone else at the position to catch passes. He had 54 targets, 43 catches last year, so maybe not an extreme amount, but he does catch passes. Dang, all my players so far have a week 8 bye. Except Xavier Worthy. So week 8 is like the true biocalypse of this year, in case anybody's wondering. I have Kareem Hunt on the bench. I have my running back set for my starters and other backups. Would you drop Hunt and pick up Pierce on waivers or keep Hunt? Yeah, I probably drop Hunt. But I don't know if I do for Pierce. I mean, Pierce, it's not like a bad move per se. But yeah, I think maybe if that's really the best thing out there, I still think that Nick Chubb and Woody Marks are ahead of Dameon Pierce, but it's anyone's guess, you know. So I would just wait, see if there's something better that looms in the waivers. Here's my team, a 14-team half PPR. Burrow, Nico, Mike Evans, A-Chain, Pollard, Waddle, and Njoku, Devonta, Downs, Hendo, Bill, and Jackson Dart. This is pretty good for a 14-teamer. I say Njoku, Burrow, like you're good there. Nico, Evans, A-Chain, Pollard. I mean, Pollard's banged up. I'm not the biggest Waddle guy, but he's fine here in a 14-teamer. Devonta, fine. Josh Downs, fine. Hendo, a good RB3. Very good for a 14-teamer. Corey, please rate this team 12-team. We got Bo Nix. That's fine. CMC, Chase Brown, Higgy, Terry, DJ Moore, Njoku, Myers. So this is start 3 wide receiver. Packers D, Ramondre, Najee, Javonte, Pitts, Boutte. haven't had a Boutte mentioned tonight. Yeah, this team's fine. It looks like it was a competitive league. The bench is a little worrisome. It's not my favorite late round running backs. There's not a lot of perceived upside to those guys, but outside of that, it looks pretty good. I don't know if Jacoby Myers is my favorite flex, but he's okay. Only because the situation's murky. I like Myers just fine overall. RJ Harvey or Hunter week 1. I mean, I probably would take the matchup for Hunter. I just feel like, and it's not like Harvey is a bad, matchup. I just am worried about him week 1. I just think we might see more J.K. Dobbins early than some people are anticipating. But I could be wrong. Happy PPR, Ted, Devonta, Pollard in the flex. I mean, generally speaking, when it comes to half PPR, like I want to go with a player who's going to be a running back. So I think Pollard's fine there. I just have a tough time sitting Devonta Smith, and it's a good matchup against the Cowboys. And I think that T-Mac has a really good matchup. Full PPR, I'd easily start Smith or T-Mac. I still think in half PPR, I'm going to start Devonta Smith, though. I have Josh Allen. I'm wondering if I should flex Shakir and Coleman. Oh, we got this earlier. I did answer this. Trade JCM, Pittman, Downs for Pollard and Mason. Yeah, I do that trade. But I don't know. Maybe 5 weeks from now, we feel very differently about this one. But right now, as things stand, I'd rather have Pollard and Mason. What's up, Run CMC? Tried my best from the 101. Chase, Jacobs, Bowers, Pollard, Lamar, Pickens, Pearsall, Golden, Eckler, Monty, and Godwin. Not bad. Went for round 3 elite tight end, but Lamar was there 2 rounds later. Yeah, at that point, you can't pass on Lamar. Even if you're hurting elsewhere, no way. I mean, Chase, Jacobs. So your starting lineup would be Lamar, Bowers, Chase, Pearsall, I would argue. Jacobs, Pollard, Pickens in the flex with Golden, Eckler, Monty, and Godwin eventually. And then you could also just start Monty over Pollard. Yeah, this from the 101, this is a team where getting an early tight end really worked out for me. Great team. Commanders or Cardinals defense this week? For me, it is pretty easily the Cardinals defense. The Commanders don't have a good fantasy defense. And they didn't really do anything in the offseason to address their defense. And Russell Wilson and the Giants, I get it, but Russell Wilson wasn't really a quarterback that we streamed defenses against last year in fantasy. I would not start. There's some trending teams right now. Commanders kind of trending in terms of fantasy defenses. The Patriots against the Raiders. The Bengals against the Browns. And usually in the defense videos, I don't know why I forgot to do this week 1. Usually I go over the schedule and I'm like, this is why I don't like X, Y, and Z teams. I don't like any of those starts this week because they're not good defenses. And there's other teams like the Eagles, the Ravens. Those teams are obviously trending, right? The Chiefs are always trending. The Chargers are trending. None of these teams have good week 1 matchups. So they're not potential starters for me in week 1. The Niners are resurfacing. The Niners were awful defensively. The Jets are resurfacing too. The Jets were an awful fantasy defense last year. And just don't forget, there's a huge difference between being a good defense in real life and a good fantasy defense. Really big difference. The Cardinals are playing Spencer Rattler. They're my favorite stream of the week. I would start them with confidence. Nathan, I'm at the 12th pick at the turn. What's the running back I should be targeting after Henry? I feel like I want to go Chase Brown. You want to go Chase Brown? I don't have any problem with it. It's really Bucky, Chase Brown. I mean, is Genty there? I still think you can go Genty. But yeah, I mean, pick your favorite guy. Don't be afraid. That is a weird team I drafted tonight. Let's just round out running back here with Charbonnet and Dobbins. I was half PPR too. If you like Chase Brown there, I don't think it's crazy. What did I do with Godwin? Kind of hot for Higgins or Allen. I mean, I think you just stick with Godwin. Like, I told a lot of you guys, like, as the last week or two went on, like, the Bucks are planning on activating Godwin from whatever he was on, pup. You're not going to be able to put him on IR. It sucks, but it is what it is. But Godwin is easily the best player here when healthy. I would just hold Godwin. If you absolutely don't have a choice, I guess Keenan Allen. I personally, I think Kirk is the wide receiver 2 for the Texans. So I like Allen's potential more. Yeah, I wouldn't drop Godwin for any of these guys. BTJ is keeper pick. Okay, I mean, that's crazy. It's like, oh, you're welcome, Goose. Garrett Wilson or Tracy for your flex. I mean, I do like Tracy in week 1 as a good floor option, and I am semi-worried about the Jets' offense in week 1, but I would still take the overall volume that Garrett Wilson is going to have in full PPR. So I'll still lean Garrett Wilson here. Tracy's fine. Like he's fine. If week 1 start sits ready, if I drop some names, yes, I suppose. Tracy or Aaron Jones? Aaron Jones. 12-man PPR, 3rd overall, double flex, no defense. Got Gibbs, A-Chain, Lundo, Hill, Sutton, T-Mac, Loveland, J.J. McCarthy. Bench, I got Rice, Ibuka, Charb, Mitchell. Diggins? Who's Diggins? Other than that, the team looks pretty good. Especially with Ibuka on the bench. These are kind of light at running back, but I do like Charb. I'm trying to figure out who Diggins is. Diggs? Need to flex 2. Diggs. ETN, Harvey, Ollie, Downs. Yeah, I would start Diggs. Then I think it's a toss. I think could go Josh Downs if your heart was really set on it. But I think ultimately I'd take the risk on ETN or Harvey. Oh, Thornton, Spears, Darnold. Deep bench in that league. Pick 12 for week 1. Travion, J-Mo, Pacheco, Jaden Reed. Hold on, let me make these draft picks. This team is light at wide receiver. Sorry, the team I'm drafting, not your team. Travion, J-Mo, Pacheco, and Jaden Reed. I definitely am starting J-Mo. And then I just swing for the fences. I'd throw Travion in my bench. Or excuse me, my flex, second flex. If you wanted a floor, Pacheco. I'm not going to start Jaden Reed week 1 if I'm not desperate. Just because he's coming off the injury. Do I bench any of Pickens, Golden, or K9 for Sampson or ETN? No. No. I do like the potential for Sampson this week. I do think ETN is a good matchup. But we're looking at names like Pickens and Kenneth and even Matthew Golden. The answer is no. Drop B-Rob to pick up Ollie or Kirk. It depends on your needs. I mean, I still think that Ollie Gordon's really just a handcuff at the end of the day. You know what I mean? He's still just a handcuff until further notice. If you really need wide receiver help, I just get Kirk. Yeah, we will be streaming lots of defenses against the Saints this year. 12 team, happy for our Dak, Caleb. Did we go over this one? No. Bucky, Chuba, Connor, Pollard, JJ Ladd, Devonta, Ted, Pittman, and Joki. This is a solid team for a 12-teamer. Start Dak, Bucky, Chuba. 2 good running backs in Connor and Pollard in reserve. JJ Ladd, flex Devonta. If you have another flex, Tet, or one of the running backs, and then Njoku. Very good team. You're welcome, Nathan. Happy to help you guys. Jacobs or Kyron? Ooh, that's close. That is close. Jacobs gets Minnesota 12th fewest points to the position last year. And the Texans allowed the 10th fewest. So neither running back really has a good matchup. I lean Jacobs by a hair, and I really like Kyron Williams. Andrew, have a good night. I just sent JCM and Downs for Pollard. Yeah, you're going to drop Downs anyways? Yeah. I like Pollard, though. I don't dislike JCM, but yeah, does not look – I like Pollard enough that I think it's a good trade. DJ Moore, Devonta Smith. I go Devonta Smith. I always start Devonta Smith. If I were to go double wide receiver at 12, I'm going to take London. But who should the second be, assuming Nico is gone? BTJ, Puka, AJ Brown. I would probably personally just take BTJ. It's still close for me. I don't think you can make a wrong choice. I think I have BTJ, Puka still slightly above AJ Brown. But I am a AJ Brown fan, undoubtedly. It's still somewhat close. But yeah, personally, I'm the highest on BTJ. So I think I would just go BTJ. Oh, man, this draft got rough quick. Guess I'm drafting Romeo Dobbs. All right, guys, let me know if you guys have any other fantasy questions. I'm going to finish up this draft. So a couple more minutes here. But a great stream tonight. Great questions tonight, guys. So we're at the hour mark. Most of the streams this year will just be, if I do get on throughout the week, they'll just be an hour. Then I'll be doing a long stream on Saturdays. So you guys, you know, as the season goes on, just remember Saturdays I will always be on for multiple hours. Get you guys questions going. 12th pick seems to be a pick that your drafts almost decide on how others pick. I'm hoping for elite QB. Personally, I try to stay away from elite QB if I'm at like the 112. So anyway, if you're going to go double wide receiver to start, I would try to go double running back personally in the 3rd and 4th. And then I would wait for like the tier of quarterback like Bo Nix, Baker. I still think that's a somewhat elite tier. And I think Baker could be a top 5 quarterback again this year. I would wait for that tier because running backs, if you go double wide receiver to start from the 12, you're already looking at your RB2 as being like Brees Hall, James Cook. I mean, your RB1, I'm sorry, as like Brees Hall, James Cook. Sometimes Cook isn't even there. Kenneth Walker. So, like, I would go back-to-back running back. I'd try to get Kenneth Walker and James Cook, Kenneth Walker, Brees Hall, Kenneth Walker, and Kamara, Chuba. Like, those are the running backs you're looking at. Then by the time you pick again, like, you might be able to get, like, Isaiah Pacheco, DeAndre Swift. Pacheco might not be there, though. You might be able to get Monty Pacheco. They might not be there. You might be looking at Swift and Pollard, Swift and Aaron Jones. Are you really going to be, like, okay with that? It could work out. Don't get me wrong. I would wait at quarterback personally. Tucker Kraft or Tyler Warren week 1. I mean, personally, I'm going to take the proven guy in Tucker Kraft week 1, but I won't be surprised if, we have a good outing by Tyler Warren in week 1. I just don't know exactly, like, what to expect with Daniel Jones at quarterback, but I don't think it's the worst matchup at the end of the day. I mean, I'm just not scared of this Dolphins defense. So I think the floor is pretty safe with Warren. The Dolphins allowed the 19th most fantasy points to tight ends last year. I think I picked Tucker Kraft, but I do still believe, as much as I like Tucker Kraft with all the wide receiver injuries on the Packers, he's still touchdown dependent. Nathan, you are welcome. Cam Little or Boswell? I will go Cam Little. I think that's Pete's. Pete's kicker rankings will drop tomorrow. So we will have a kicker video out tomorrow for you guys, which I'm excited for. And I think Cam Little's his start of the week. But Boswell's fine. I mean, that could be a low-scoring game and everything. He's fine. Could be a kicker implied game. But I think I'd take the upside in Cam Little, which should be a high-scoring game. You guys are very welcome. Thank you guys for the fantasy questions. I appreciate them. Appreciate you guys hanging out tonight. Yeah, Tyler Warren is a player that I'm completely okay with if he's your tight end 1, but it's just kind of the way I always approach rookie tight ends. And I know, like, we've had a lot of success with Brock Bowers and Sam Laporta in the last 2 years, but it is not like that's not a thing that happens on a regular basis. And my advice has always been, if you do draft a rookie tight end, to always get, like, a player of like a Zach Ertz or Jake Ferguson, that type of caliber, Dalton Kincaid, draft a second tight end, Tucker Kraft, Hunter Henry, whoever, because, or like maybe you went like elite tight end and you're taking a chance late because a rookie tight end fell to you. But some of these rookie tight ends, I mean, their draft capital has been elevated because of the success in the past 2 seasons of the tight end position. So I think Tyler Warren would be fine. Great prospect, but it's just tough to trust the situation with Daniel Jones at quarterback. Hoping to go to balanced approach. Should it be a heavy RB first round? I might take the value at double wide receivers. Trying to think it out for sure, bro. I mean, I get it. I don't mind going double wide receiver, but I just saw a lot throughout draft season and even mock draft season. Some teams that went double wide receiver and then didn't take a running back in the 3rd or 4th regretted it later on. Or just took one running back, got a little shaky very quickly. Some of these drafts go running backs go fast. Guy I'm playing week 1 is Dak. Should I trade Baker to him for Dak after week 1? No. Keep Baker. I like Dak a lot. I'd rather have Baker. Malik has Nix, Jacobs, Brees, St. Brown, Tyreek Hill, Kittle, DJ Moore, and Buka in the flex with DJ Moore. Javonte, Benson, Chubb, Leggett, Shakir. Pretty solid for a 12-teamer. If Brees Hall hits, Tyreek hits, this team will be very good. All right, sorry, I lost. All right, so that's the chat is does this thing sometimes where it repeats the entire chat for me to figure out where it was. But yeah, I mean, the bench isn't like anything ecstatic, but in some of these 12-team leagues, especially if you guys drafted late in the year, I mean, there's only so much that's going to be there for you guys' benches. So if that was a situation for you, I don't think it's the worst team I've seen by any stretch. The starting lineup is very good. Undoubtedly. Just traded Mims, Reeds, and Bill for Bucky. Now that is a great trade. That is great. And I like Mims. I still think Reed will be fine. I like Bill too. For Bucky, though, yeah, you won that trade. You won that trade. Any advice for crafting trades? We should be asking you. And really, you just have to look at the opposing team that you're trading with. You have to look at their roster. You know, at the end of the day, that's what matters. What are their needs, and how can you sway their needs to your advantage? Is going to be the biggest thing, always. So, also, you really like. I think this is a tough time of year to do trades, generally speaking. You want to work throughout the course of the season and be able to buy low on players, sell high on players. And I'm a bigger fan of just buying low in general, as opposed to selling players at high peaks. I think it's a little bit more risky, but it also sometimes is necessary. But yeah, for me, I'm trying to buy players as the season progresses at lower points, injuries, whatever it may be. And yeah, I think it's much more valuable to work throughout the course of the season, as opposed to right here at the end of draft season. You will get some good opportunities like you just had, right? But then also sometimes you get a lot. If you're basing, your trades purely off draft capital, sometimes you're going to end up biting. All right, so 10-teamer full PPR: Baker, Bucky, Bijan, Tracy, Scatterboo, Chubb, Metcalf, Garrett Wilson, Judy, Addison, Olave, Reed, Bowers, Cardinals D, Cam Little. Pretty solid team. He obviously took running back value early. It's okay. The wide receivers are lacking a bit upside, but the floor is there. The volume's there for all these guys. Starting lineup, it will be Baker, Bucky, Bijan, Metcalf, Garrett Wilson, Judy, Bowers, Cardinals defense, Cam Little. I mean, it's good. I wouldn't be overly concerned if I were you. All right, guys, we'll be heading off stream in just a few minutes, just so you guys know. And just remember, you guys can check out any of the videos this week on the channel and drop a comment, and I will have every comment on every video answered before Sunday. And I will be back live Saturday as well. Getting to know league mates and who likes, that kind of helped with that one. Yeah, man, that was a great trade for you. Sometimes it just depends on your league. Rank these flex options: Pickens, Hendo, Tracy, MH. Pickens has the most upside. Not a great matchup. Marvin Harrison Jr., it's got to be between MH and Pickens for me still, even in half PPR. But if you want to take the floor, Henderson and Tracy certainly offer that. We just don't know what the split for Hendo is going to look like here early in the season. The Raiders were surprisingly okay against a run last year. Tracy I do like. I just have a tough time benching Pickens or MH. Took Jay Jettis in the first round. Yeah, Jay Jettis will always be fine. He's produced with all kinds of off-wall quarterbacks, so I'm not worried about him. I believe in McCarthy personally. JJ, perfectly fine first-round pick. Don't ever think it. Higgins or T-Mac week 1. I'm going to take the upside with Higgins against the Browns, but T-Mac has a great matchup. Great matchup. Good question. Full PPR, Ricky or Pollard in the flex. I'm going to lean Ricky Pearsall. Tough for me to bench him. All right, 12 team, 12th pick. Allen, Henry, Henderson, Nico, Ibuka, J-Mo, Tyler Warren. Pretty solid for a 12-teamer for sure. Good lineup overall here, especially if Ibuka can hit for you and Tyler Warren. Winning on the rookies, sometimes it pays off. Yeah, Hendo there too. Good squad. Took CeeDee Lamb second overall in a league with 3 wide receiver and a flex spot. Do you think it was a reach to not take Bijan? No, I think even in a normal format, you could still take Lamb if you really wanted to over Bijan. 3 wide receiver makes perfectly fine sense. 12-team, Lamar, CMC, Pacheco, Tet, Sutton, Kittle, Nico in the flex. Rams defense, Bucker, Bigsby, Coleman, Brees, Mason, Pearsall. Thoughts? Team is perfectly fine. I do like Pearsall as a start this week, but Tet, Sutton, Nico is, you're fine there. I like the Rams defense okay, but we just have to remember the Texans are still going to be a very pass-heavy team this year. The Rams were 9th against receivers last year, but they lost Jalen Ramsey. So I don't know. I think the Rams are an okay floor option, but not my favorite defense. Other than that, everything looks great. Was considering starting Warren in the flex, leaning towards Tillman. I try not to flex a tight end. I would hope you have a better option than Tillman, but Tillman's fine against the Bengals. I try not to flex a tight end, but Tillman, you're kind of like still, it's hit or miss here, so close. J-Mo or RJ Harvey in the flex. I would personally play J-Mo. Yeah, I play J-Mo. Trade Pickens to acquire MH. MH is probably going to give you a better floor. The upside probably lies with Pickens on a weekly basis, but if you prefer Marvin Harrison Jr., I'm okay with that for sure. It's really personal preference here. So it's close. And a tough 14-man draft just finished. Stroud, Brown, Walker, Puka, Wilson, Pickens, Debo, Ertz. Chase, Brown, Walker, Puka, Garrett Wilson, Pickens, Debo, Ertz, Stroud. I mean, for a 14-team league, that's not bad at all, Chase. Really not that bad. I feel pretty good. Those 14-teamers are not easy. All right, boys and girls, I do have to end the stream, unfortunately. I'm going to try and be on one more time before Saturday if I can this week. I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to manage it, but I'm certainly going to try. But I will be on Saturday for you guys for sure. And we will have plenty of content dropping throughout the week. We have start sits for every matchup, every player out at wide receiver, running back, quarterback, and tight end. We have plenty of other content out already on the week for you guys and plenty of content that will continue to drop. So make sure you guys are paying attention to the videos. And we'll be back soon. So good luck, everyone, here in week 1 if I don't talk to you before Sunday. But I will be back on Saturday. So should be good. Thank you guys for hanging out tonight. Thank you guys for talking some fantasy. Thank you guys for all the fantasy questions, most importantly. And you guys can always join the Discord. Ask the community questions. People will get back to you on there. The Discord link is down below. That will also let you guys know when we are dropping videos and or going live. So make sure you guys join the Discord as well to get notified of everything going on in the community And like I said, you guys can drop your rosters, all that good stuff, questions on there too. Other people will get back to you, give you their opinions. So, all right, thanks, guys. Everyone have a great start to the week. I'll talk to everyone soon. With that, I'll say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, you saw it here on The Catch, and peace.